All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. And this channel is for educational purposes. We check into great theories, concepts, and discoveries that you might not know anything about because they've been generally suppressed and frowned upon, called bad names like conspiracy theories and um, the powers that be don't want you to know about this stuff. The powers that be want to restrict you from things that could benefit you with your quest for better spiritual, mental, and physical health. And right here, we have a feature that is called the Q-tip of the spear, and that is for um, InfoWar participants, people who recognize that there is a worldwide civil war going on, mostly informational, flares up into the hot war sometimes. But globalists versus sovereign citizens, uh, diggers and freedom fighters, and um, patriots and nationalists. And it very much looks as if the globalists are about to go down. And one could argue they're already down. And that is why, along with the ridiculous messaging that's going out right now, so many different ops going on, and so many really foolish stories circulating, uh, that you have to recognize that if you can see how ridiculous it is, then it probably isn't for you. It's probably for somebody else who's going to take it seriously. And, I think that might be a sign for you to move into the next phase, which is getting yourself ready for the transition. Um, First, the transition into um, control. As if the sovereigns have control, then there's responsibility with that control. You don't want to just roll out, some untested, unthought about rules, or, guidelines or whatever, boundaries, without really knowing what you're talking about. And a lot of those things require uh, scrutinizing your own conditionings, because we have all kind of accepted, no matter how red pilled we are, you know, we've all accepted a lot of things in our life, and now we're discovering that those things are, were a lie. But, it's the further back you go, the bigger the lie, and the more painful it is to uncover it, uh, emotionally and even mentally. Difficult concepts and difficult to handle emotionally. But unfortunately, there is no other way out. And so that's the only way that there is to go. There's a lot of more work to do. You mostly dug into the more recent stuff, the stuff that's kind of like you're on the surface, that doesn't really cut to the bone and to the organs. Those things are also going to have to be on tap here for red pilling. And so those are going to be, in effect. Um, the the kind of rules and strictures and guidelines that um, you've accepted, and you're going to try to pass them on to the future without giving them the proper scrutiny. And I'm trying to stop that from happening. This has to be, and it may be cosmically stopped from happening because the universe is not going to let you go into the new age with your half-assed beliefs. You're going to have to go over them and scrutinize them and figure out if they really are true, or if they need to be adjusted. And you know, I think that is the truth. And I think that you're not gonna get into the golden age if you don't have your habits together. If you got a bunch of addictions, you don't exercise your body, your cardiovascular, you don't you know take time to stretch or do yoga. You don't take any time for meditation, but instead you tend to watch television or watch movies or play with your phone. Those things are not gonna those things are not gonna work cosmically. Um, so you know, a lot of people in the info war, they've let some things slip in terms of all that stuff. Feel like, it's become too stressful of a job. And I can understand that because it's been year after year after year of long suffering and kind of, feeling like you're winning, but it still seems like you're losing. You know, you the inside joke is that you're winning, but the standard narrative is that you're losing badly. So, um, I can understand feeling long suffering and stressed out, but this is just the start. Winning is going to take it to the next thing, which is to get ready for um, control and to get ready to move into this golden age or this age of Aquarius or this 5D consciousness. So I think the only op that I've been interested in looking at was sending over the vice president for the negotiation, the one who was, um, reported to have been against the whole war in the first place, and the one who's kind of been anointed by the mainstream media as being, you know, hopefully once we get this 25th Amendment thing going, well, this will be our guy. And we'll do that just after the midterms, and that way he can go two more terms after that. But I think the op is that he failed, and so not only did their darling not succeed in, you know, but he also, being the voice of reason, has now seen that, maybe reason isn't, what they're listening to over there. So I think that just is, changing the narrative or adjusting the narrative a little bit. That's something to keep your eyes on, but I guess I would still suggest that you take your eyes off and uh, redeploy yourself, get yourself into the next phase, start getting ready for the next phase. You can still keep one eye over here on the InfoWar, but there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done after this is over. And somebody's got to kind of get some infrastructure going over there. Okay, like, share, subscribe, comment, contribute, and we'll see you next time on the Q-tip of the spear.